you really need to squeeze out some more blue. And I like the ultramarine blue. So a good amount of pigment on your brush, okay, with minimal water. So don't put a lot, just enough water that it will homogenize the paint, okay? Then go into your alizarin crimson, okay? Now I want you to see the difference between, there's your blue, and as soon as I add some red into it, look how much darker that gets, okay? You can see just blue, and there's just with the red. It almost makes a black, almost makes a dark color. So this is going to be our color for the evergreen trees, okay? So again, a little refresher for what we did for the evergreen trees. After you load that brush, get yourself a good sized round brush, pointing the brush toward you, and as if you were planting the tree. So start at the base of the tree, move the brush forward away from you, and you decide how tall those trees are. Again, don't make them all even in a row, okay, tall, okay, spaced differently apart. And then we're just gonna, before that dries, gonna just go in there and flick that brush left to right from the center, okay? And put it right next to your white, the tape. Make sure you go put it over the tape and coming out the other side. So we'll let's make a whole family of trees here. Do I want a space in between them? We'll see. Let's put in another one real quick. And, oh, I just thought of another technique for that tries with our credit card, with the tip of the credit card, or with a chiseled edge of one of the brushes. We can, before that paint dries, we can suggest some other type of tree that's going in front of it. So there might be more, out there in Mother Nature land, there's all kinds of brush and things going on. So let's see. Okay. And do I want to do one there? I don't know. Maybe don't have to do them everywhere. Okay, let's get another one. So if you've already warmed up with this idea, build your confidence by practicing these. That was my suggestion to you. Let's see. Do I want to come all the way down? Not sure. All right, so I'm going back in the pigment, getting more pigment, making sure it stays nice and dark. Envisioning trees going off the page here, maybe smaller, maybe bigger again, not always perfectly vertical. Bing, 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 bang, 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 dun, dun, dun. Okay, so, all right, so there's part of them, that side. All right, and I think I will, well, let's see, this is our focal point area, so we really need to get a good some nice dark trees behind there. So I guess we will be probably most likely be having trees go all the way across. So this will be a lot of practice for you. Try to get, here's where most people go wrong, is they don't get it dark enough the first time. So really use a lot of pigment. It's important to squeeze out some fresh blue and alizarin crimson before you start. Otherwise, it'll dry lighter than what you want, and it just doesn't look as good if you have to go in another time, a second time, to make it darker. And let's see, maybe we'll go taller here. Okay, and then maybe a couple more. Don't think about it too much. Okay, so now, before anything dries, do we want to scrape out more brushes and things growing? Yeah. And then we'll, okay, so my next little step, real quick, I'm gonna go to the rigger brush, which is our little, I like the number 4. I used to use the number 2, but it didn't give me enough of a thick line, okay? So again, this is another handy dandy little brush that you wanna make sure you have in your arsenal of brushes. And again, practice this on the back of your paintings. Again, loading the brush well, holding loosely on the back of it. Don't be choking it. Don't get too tight with it. Stay loose. Take a deep breath, because this is where people tend to get nervous. Again, pointing the brush toward you and pushing the brush down. Get what's the widest mark I can make with this brush, okay? And then as you come up, you're lifting up just ever so gently, so it goes from thick to thin, okay? Then, where the, suggest some branches on here. I don't know if everybody can see this. So, the branches near the top of the tree tend to be more upright, okay? Branches toward the bottom of the tree could actually come down if it was an older tree. This is still a sapling, so that's probably not a good idea for these. But what you don't want to do is, like, once you've got one this way, you don't want to add another one right there. Need more paint. Okay, that's not a good move here. Don't do that. It's better to go higher or lower, okay? And as you move it, as you make these marks, try not to make them too what I call wiggle worm shapes. Instead of roundish shapes, what works better is angular shapes, okay? And then where they change the angles, those are good places to add on more branches. Okay,